Let's understand the terms projects, programs, and portfolios. What do we have here? Let's say we have an organization, and what different types of projects can be available here. So, what projects can you think of? Now, don't say that project or a program or portfolio. Let's see that an organization will have a standalone project. It has a new project, and it has the operations, running operations. Let's understand what these things are. A standalone project is something which is not linked to any program, right? So we will understand what a program is in just a bit, but just keep this definition in the back of your mind. So a standalone project is not linked to any program. It is such a project. It is managed independently within a portfolio. A new project is always associated with some program. Let it be a single project, but it will have an association with some sort of program. And the operations, as you can see, they are the bread and butter of the company. They are the regular operations of the organization. Now, if two or more projects are being handled by the organization for the ease of operations, they are usually clubbed together. So why does this clubbing happen? That's because although there are two different projects, they are usually executed by more or less the same set of resources. So imagine we are working in an organization and there are so many projects that are handled by it. So the people don't quite often change because there are two projects. Two projects don't have two different set of people. So in very huge organizations, that is possible. But usually, I'm talking generally, it is the same set of people. When we say man, machine, method, everything is going to be common for two different projects. So in this case, what project needs to be given importance? Will it be project A or project B? It will be decided by the program manager. So there will be a project manager. There will be a project manager here. There will be two project managers who will be reporting to a program manager who decides which resources are to be used in which project and at what time. So that is why program management is very important. Usually the organization doesn't just handle one project, right? So it keeps on growing. There are multiple projects which can be happening for multiple customers. So a program management plays a major role in any organization. They're usually grouped together, right? So these are called programs. So as you can see, a portfolio is something that is bigger than the program. It can have multiple programs within itself, right? You can see that there is a program and a standalone project. It is not always the case. Portfolio can have two programs, or a portfolio can have just two standalone projects. You can ask me whether the portfolio has just two projects. It can have, and it will be called a program again. I hope it's clear. So when there are two new projects handled as a set, it is called a program. When two different programs are clubbed together, that is called a portfolio. And it need not necessarily be just two different programs. The standalone project, which is not involved with any program, because let's take an example, as a customer has specifically asked for a special project. Let's say a government approach your organization saying that this has to be handled separately, separate resources have to be allocated to it, separate operations have to be done, and this has to be done in secrecy. So such projects are usually taken not in any program, but they are handled usually independently. But it can be part of a portfolio. So a portfolio management will have a program and a standalone project and also a second program. So here you can see that there is another portfolio like this. So if we all observe, so again, as I told, these are the examples: portfolio with just two standalone projects, a portfolio with a program, and again a standalone project. So this is how an organization looks like, right? It has three different set of portfolios, which has different programs within itself. And as you can see, the operations here is independent of any project or a standalone project or a program or a portfolio. So in fact, these activities of these operations are managed by operations management. We will learn about that operations management in just a bit. So what happens in the operations management? In operations management, some sort of inputs are converted to outputs with the help of a well-established process. So, and the management is done to ensure the smoothness of this project. So as you can see, These are usually the bread and butter of the organization. Usually the processes are very well established, right? So there is nothing new getting added here. And on the contrary, if there is a change that is going to happen, it is usually opposed by the running operations. Like in the all the organizations that you're all working on, the independent organizations where you are, wherever you are working, if you can relate to me, the production line usually have some of the operations going on. If you go and try to ask to change something, there will be an opposition immediately, right? So because the processes are all set here, and then it is very difficult to change the processes, and it will directly affect the outputs of the current running operations. So for this reason, usually there is a lot of back pressure whenever we want to change something. So I think in this difficult situation comes the next important management, that is called the operations and project management. So why is operations plus project management important? So while the operations are running and the new project that we have decided to handle starts using the resources that are allocated for this regular operations. So as I told you, the organization is still the same, the organization, and whatever machinery that is available, it is majorly being used by the operations, right? So it can also be used by the project because we are all working for the same organization ultimately. The operation stakeholders do not own this machinery, right? So everybody understands this, but there will be a lot of disturbance, right? Whenever a new project is handled, there will be disturbances in the current or ongoing operations. So as you can see in this illustration, there are different ways which can become an impediment for the ongoing operation process, right? So the stress is on the word impediment. Impediment is something which is obstructing the flow. So to manage both the new project and the operations smoothly, this operations and project management helps a lot. You can see the project can disturb operations in these different ways to use the shared resources. So let's say you want to test a prototype, right? So prototype testing. So there the testing stakeholders, that the colleagues who work on these testing machines, they have to give their time other than what they already have been allocated for operations, right? So such disturbances keep on happening. So usually at the phase gate closures where you want to prove your product, this kind of disturbances are happening a lot. So at these stages, and these are the things that are being affected. So that's all about operations and project management.